everyone. I think we're live. All right. There's going to be a few minutes here while I just make sure that the Zoom thing is working, and it's working in the Facebook group. And I'm going to pull it up on my phone so that I can tandem look at comments. So, hello, welcome. I'm super excited to be with you guys today for a really fascinating and what I hope is going to be super inspiring workshop. There we go. Awesome. We're there. We're live. Okay, cool. Great. All right, awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to come back over here. 2 people have entered the Zoom room. Yay. I was wondering, I was hoping that people were going to join me. Otherwise, I would be here talking to myself. Hi, Mary. And we've got Mel as well. Great to see you guys. For anyone watching through Facebook, through the Facebook group, please pop into the Zoom room because this is meant to be interactive. I decided about 2 days ago that I was going to do this through Zoom and stream it into the Facebook group rather than have it done through Facebook only. Hi, Mary. Welcome. So I've got my headphones here. Hang on. And there's 2 people watching in the Facebook group as well. Guys, you're most welcome to pop into the Zoom room. I'd love to have you come and join us. This is supposed to be, like I said, interactive. And I'm going to put my speaker like that. Hello.
Whereabouts in Facebook can I find the Zoom link? Because for some reason, I can't seem to find it on my computer. I found it on my phone, but I'd rather be on my computer.
Sure. So it's in the it's in 2 places. How about I'll just private message it to you right now? That'd be probably easiest. Yeah, no worries. And for people that are just watching at the moment, just bear with us 1 sec. Come and join us. That's essentially the point of what I'm trying to say. All righty. So Mary, I just sent that through to you there. And awesome. Through Messenger. Yeah, through Messenger. All righty. Okay, cool.
Drop out of the phone now then.
Okay, sure. No problem. Hi. Hey, Mel. How are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. Love the backdrop.
Oh, it's very fancy, isn't it? It feels like really lush, I love it too. All righty. Okay, so what we're going to essentially dive right in. It's 5 minutes past and the streaming is working the way I wanted it to. Awesome. Okay, cool. Please, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you are watching live, just pop in and say hi so that we know who you are and so that you feel as if you're a part of the workshop as well. Like I've said, you're most welcome to pop into the Zoom room. The link is in the description. If you wanted to come and actually, have some time with me, there's Mary, I'll let her back in. If you wanted to actually come in and have some coaching and some actual hot seat spotlight time with me, that's absolutely fine as well. So what we're talking about today is something that I'm super excited about. It's all about how to turn your old content into a book. So essentially, my intention with this is to help inspire you to recognize how much content is already out there, how many words that you have actually written is actually already out there in the ecosystem, right? In the online space, in your journals, everywhere, in your notes on your phone. Because essentially at the end of the day, I'm all about supporting entrepreneurs and leaders to share their message through published works. I have 2 of my authors here with me live. You guys have both participated in my multi-author books. And at the end of the day, for me, why I'm in publishing and why I'm so passionate about it is because it provides an edge and it also provides obviously a platform for you to share your message on a much, much bigger scale, right? I'm talking global, right? When we publish something, we put it out to the world, it's out there, yeah? It's circulating around the world, right? It's a legacy that we leave. It helps us to experience more visibility, obviously. We're able to really zone in and highlight our expertise. We're able to, share our message and the work that we do with the world. It's a no-brainer, honestly. So say hi if you're watching in the Facebook group so I know who you are and so you're like contributing to this workshop. Of course, join us in the Zoom room if you like. However, for a lot of people, I know there's a lot of stuff and stories that we can have about, I don't have the time to write a book. I don't know what I would write about. Who's going to listen to me? What stories do I have to share, right? The narrative can really go on and on and on. When we actually take a minute to pause and take a breath and reflect backwards, what happens is some pretty cool stuff, right? First of all, we recognize how far we've come. And I highly recommend that you be doing this on a consistent basis, actually stopping and pausing and reflecting upon how far you've come. But also you will start to recognize and realize just how much content you actually have available to you to act as inspiration for creating your own books. So today we're going to be talking about old content. I'm going to be giving you some homework. We're going to be talking about how to turn your old blog posts, newsletters, courses, course material, how to collate that and turn it into a book. We're going to talk about how to use your multi-author book chapter if you've actually published one, whether that's with me or with someone else, how to use that, how to turn that into a book. Essentially, we're going to be really doing a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? When you stop and you take an audit, this is the word. We're going to be doing an audit, all right? Because at the end of the day, especially if you're like me, you've been in business probably a few years. I've been in business for 12 years now. I know I have on my phone in my notes list, in my notes section, if I was to go through and collate all of the content and the ideas that I actually have in there would be tens of thousands of words. What I actually did 2 years ago is I went through and I put all of the content that I had ever written on Facebook and I put it all into a Google Doc. Okay. Now I haven't updated that in a couple of years, but I need to. But when I did that 2 years ago, I had about 40,000 words, right? Just from the content that I had been semi-consistently putting out there, okay? And I'm not someone who is creating content every single day, right? I'm someone who creates content when I feel inspired. So it's not like I'm putting content out there every single day. If I was to go and actually do an audit of my notes in my phone or my notes in my journals, if I was to really bring all of that together and actually sit down and look at, and I have done that, look at just what I've written, and I invite you to do the same as well, you're going to recognize and realize just how much creativity you have created, right? How much your creativity has birthed. When we do this, we also start to get a real sense of the common themes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some action steps to take. And then I want you to come back into the comments of the Facebook Live, and I want you to reflect back to us after a day or two when you've actually done this. Okay, so the first step is to go through and to write down all of the courses that you've run, whether that's live courses in person, whether that's online courses, whether that's webinars, 3-day trainings like challenges, webinars, masterclasses, workshops. I want you to do an audit. Okay. So actually get down on paper, and I'm a fan of the old-fashioned handwriting for this. Yep. It helps me to kind of extract all of the information from my head and put it onto paper, and actually write down the amount of all of the things that you've done. Okay. First of all, if you stop and actually do that and actually take that first step, you're going to realize, oh my gosh, first thing first, I've actually done a lot of things. Okay. I have created a lot of content. I've run a lot of freebies. I have created a lot of programs. So you want to get the names down of the things that you've done. You want to open up a Google document, from your drive, a Google Doc, and you want to start to collate all of your content. Okay. So when I did this, I think I went back to 2016 or 2015 when I first transitioned online through my personal and my business page. And I literally copied and pasted with the link to each individual post, because I also like to be able to look at the comments and the feedback that people have given me throughout the years. It kind of gives me a bit of a different perspective. So I put all of the content, I copied and pasted the content, and I copied the URL, and I put it into a Google Doc, and I itemized it. You know how on Google Docs you can have everything laid out really systematically. So each blog post, each content piece, each newsletter that I wrote, every single piece of content that I had written went into a Google Doc with easy access for me to go back and to look at it, to look at the actual URL, right? You want to also have a look at all of the old content and course material that you have created, all right? So if you've created content for, if you've done workbooks, if you've done checklists, if you have done an ebook, if you've done ebooks, if you've done essentially any piece of writing that you have done over the years, or I'm going to get to this in a sec, I'll finish this one. Any piece of writing that you've done over the years, put it all in one particular spot. Okay. Now, the other great thing to do is to get out the app, which I personally love, and I often will recommend this to my authors and my clients, the app called Otter, Otter. And what you could do is you could have, so essentially Otter is a transcriber. Okay. So you speak into Otter and it records your voice and it also transcribes the words. And it's actually the most precise transcriber that I've personally found. It's really good. It's much better than, like, on the notes, there's a section for you to transcribe. It's much better than that. And you can go to every single, now this may take a bit of time, okay, but it will be worth it. You can go to all of the lives that you've done, all of the live streams, all of the webinars, all of the trainings that you've created, and you can play the training and have your phone sitting there transcribing everything, okay? You could leave it there for an hour, go make dinner, go hang out with the kids, go do some meditation, go do some yoga, come back when it's finished, and essentially stop the Atta transcriber. And like a 1 hour long video training is typically about 25 to 30 pages, right? On Microsoft Word, okay? What I really want you to be present to, as we're going to start to delve into this, is the fact that your content is everywhere and your words are everywhere. And it means there's no excuse for you to say to yourself, I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to write about for my posting on social media. I don't know what to write about in a book. And really, at the end of the day, there's no excuse for not having any inspiration, right? So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to multi-purpose our content, which makes your experience easier. You don't have to always be thinking up of brand new content, right? I mean, some people like to get into automate their content, so they multi-purpose it and then they set it up to go out automated. And that's if you're super clever. I don't get that far. Hey guys, say hi in the chat if you're here. I just want to see if I've missed any comments. Just so, oh yeah, hey, okay, there you go. Why am I not seeing that? Watching through Facebook. Hi, Deb. Hi, Maya. Hi, Cherie. Awesome. Trying to do 5 things at once. Okay. I wonder why I'm not seeing that on my phone. Live chat. Okay. Anyway, I'll have to go between. Recognizing, right, that your words are everywhere. Okay. So once you've done this, then a really great thing to do is to start to pick up on the key themes. All right. So when you actually start to collate all of your old content, you're going to recognize, obviously, that there are key themes that you talk about regularly, right? Whether you know this consciously yet or not, the way it can make your life a lot easier is to recognize, because sometimes we say you want to sit down and, create an umbrella statement or an umbrella topic and then have all of your mini topics underneath when it comes to messaging. I highly recommend doing that. But one thing that we can do as well is to recognize what are the topics and the themes that have naturally come through when we have had that creative inspiration. Yeah. What are the themes that have come through over the years? You'll see how your work has developed, how your messaging has developed, how the way you think and perceive the world as it relates to your topic, as it relates to your zone of genius. You'll actually start to see the development of that as you do an audit of all of your old content. It's a really amazing thing to do. So I want to sort of pause here, maybe our 2 people that we have live. Mary, did you want to just, maybe if you want to unmute yourself and then we'll go to Mel, let me know, like, are you someone that's created content a lot in the past? Is this something that you think would be valuable for you?
Oh, definitely, Tash. That's what I was attracted to the session today. I've got so much courses that I've written and blogs and interviews recorded and bits and pieces. So much so, in fact, that the thought, because it's like what I started in 2008. So the thought of going,
oh my God, like 15 years, 14 years. Oh, wow.
And collating it all just sort of does make a little bit tired.
Well, you go one year at a time.
What I can see what you mean, though, about the letting it give a sense of direction.
Yeah.
And guidance. And I've actually already started that because, I'm interested and I've started my book.
Yes.
And so I've actually started to go back to what I wrote for the Wild Woman Rising book, because I wrote 3 times as much as could go into the chapter. And just bits and pieces. So in a way, I've already started, but the suggestion to do it quite methodically, I think, is a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to give you so much inspiration. And like when we talk about working in our business, how much of the work we do is actually busy work that we could systemize, or we could creating, like for me, when I create a big, like a solid piece of content, it often takes a couple of hours for me to really craft for me to really understand and articulate what it is that I'm trying to say. Sometimes it just comes out stream of consciousness and I just put it up there. Often those posts do really well, right? But sometimes it takes longer for me to really grasp what it is that I'm trying to say. And so, when we're really able to churn through old content that's still relevant, you might want to zhuzh it up. You might want to, give it a bit of a bit update it, I guess. But it just gives, it really can save time. Absolutely. What about you, Mel?
Listen, I've done a lot of writing over the years.
Yeah,
but
you have.
I think the thing is just, it's a good idea to put it. I mean, I think I started writing before Google Docs, and I've lost a lot of stuff, particularly poetry.
How come? Where's it gone?
Well, I get inspired and I type it in my phone.
Yeah, and then you get a new phone.
And then my phone dies randomly. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm not going to be able to recreate that because it was just total channel.
Totally, yeah.
So I think, I think what you're saying is great, to just have a reference point. And through losing stuff, you realize you've got to, I do the manual stuff now. I'm writing it. I write on manually because I physically have that now, but certainly having a reference where you've got everything is really helpful.
Absolutely.
And you can go back to it. So
yeah. One little piece of, thanks, Mel. It's not little, actually, it's quite a big piece of technology that I am probably going to buy today before the end of the financial year. I've been meaning to do it for so long. Is this amazing? And if you're a writer, you may be interested in something like this. It's called the Remarkable. Has anyone heard of it? No, it's like an iPad, but it's not like an iPad. So the whole idea is that when you write on it, it feels like paper, and it feels exactly like writing on paper. There's no backlight and there's no other apps. It's simply like a screen, a tablet for writing on. And then you can store all of your handwritten notes in different files. You can upload it to the cloud. You can kind of do all sorts of really cool things with, like expand it, like some of the words and shrink them down. It can even turn your handwriting, provided it's legible, into text. It's like an amazing, amazing piece of technology, which I've had my eye on for literally months. As an aside, right? Because I love handwriting as well. However, I have stacks and stacks of old journals that after a while I don't look at them, and I forget where things are. Yeah. That's the Remarkable, Louise. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Well, I don't have one yet, but I'm sure it's amazing. Remarkable, R-E. It's Remarkable too. So what I want to do is I want to share my screen, and I want to show you something on my website as well, just to give you a bit of a visual. Okay, so this is one of my old landing pages for my mastermind, which I'm probably not going to be running this year. I'll probably run it again next year. But when we come to landing pages and content that you've already written, whether that's on your website, whether that's on social media, what I want to talk about next is when we have little formatting issue there. When we have a framework. Okay, so about 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I created this framework for my Business Alchemy Mastermind. So what's a framework? It's like a methodology. Yeah. It's a process. So, we're going to talk a lot about that in the Oracle Unleashed program, how to distill, which I'll talk about later, how to distill your body of knowledge and your transformational process into a methodology. So I created this, and it's kind of like my 5-step pillar, my 5 pillars or 5 steps that I take my people through that has them go through some sort of transformation. So for me, the first step is personal potency, right? So we connect in with their lower chakras, we activate the energy that's stored there, we help them tap into, we help them release that innate magnetism and personal potency within their body, right? The next step is we do a lot of money mindset work. We tap into the familial belief systems. We reprogram all of that. The third step is to look at their transformational service. So what is the program that they are designing in this mastermind for their people? What is that signature program? The fourth step is we look at soulful sales, right? So how do we learn how to sell in a way that feels really good, in a way that feels like it's service, it's not sleaze? And then the fifth step is all about connection strategies and visibility strategies. So marketing, getting your stuff out there, creating a presence. Now, this is the process that I take my people through. How easy could it be for me to turn this into a book, right? So right here, we've got 5 chapters, yeah? 5 chapters. I know so much about these, and this is actually what I'm working on. I know so much about these individual topics that I can easily write 3,000 or 4,000 words on each of them, including all of the processes that I know, that I love, that I've created to support my clients. I could create these five steps or 5 pillars, and I could flesh out my book, which I'm doing, flesh out my book, my solo book, right? Once I have that, okay, so that's potentially, say 30,000 words, 40,000 words. Once I have that all fleshed out, all I need to do is I need to write a couple of chapters for introduction. I need to find some stories that are going to highlight the points that I'm trying to make, maybe some case studies, maybe some journaling prompts or some journaling questions, and I need to write a conclusion, right? Now, when I kind of had this realization a while ago, I was like, holy shit, like I have all this content, all these processes, all these frameworks that I have spent like my precious time writing and formulating and birthing, and I'm actually not utilizing them. I've created this program and then I've parked it on the shelf, right? I've created this methodology and then I've parked it on the shelf. I've parked it on my website and I haven't looked at it again. When we have processes like this, and when we have our own actual ways that, our own transformational processes, our own body of knowledge, this is our IQ, right? Or your, not IQ, what's the word I'm looking for? Mary, help me out here. The legal word, not IQ, when
it's called intellectual property.
IP, thank you.
That's my area of expertise, actually.
Is it really? I didn't know that, Mel.
Yeah.
You have to tell me more about that. Your IP, not your IQ. This is your IP, right? This is your body of knowledge and your body of work. So how easy then is it going to be if you take, say, a program that you've created? So Mary, I know you have a program that you've created. You worked with me. Let's unmute you. You worked with me in the Lightworkers Activation Code last year to create your program. Yep. You still got clients in that program, taking people through. You might have to unmute yourself.
There we go.
Yep.
Yes, I do, Tash. And
excellent.
The next step with that is to take it into an online. But, one of the things you reminded me of, I actually ran a 10-week online course.
You did
back in 2015, and I've got audios of all of the sessions and all of the PowerPoints and everything, and all of the tools and how it's set up on my website. So that's all there. I guess where I just stumble on is, sitting down and working with it in the detail of getting that off the ground.
Yeah. And the thing here as well is that if we wanted to, this could actually be a project that you hand over to someone else, whether that's through a ghostwriter or whether that's through someone who's simply going to collate everything and systematically organize it. This doesn't have to be something that you do yourself. If you're time poor and you're willing to spend money to help people save you time, right? This can actually be something, if it's all there, right, you just hand it all over and go, turn this Facebook Live that I did into 5 blogs, right? Or turn this, actually like highlight the different topics that I go into, or transcribe it, or, help me weave this together into a book, for example. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you do yourself. But can you see how, it makes a lot of sense, right? It's not like this isn't a brand new concept, but what it is what I wanted to do in this workshop is just to like inspire you guys to understand just how much is available to you, how much of your gold, your IP you have created over the years. And you've been in business since 2008. You're going to have so much to draw on, right?
Oh, yes, I do. And that's probably part of the feeling quite daunted by it. But but I know it's a work in process. I'm actually doing it. And and look, some assistance with it. It's not the actual doing, it's getting lost in it.
Yes. Okay. That's a great point.
And there's so many ways to go, and then I get distracted and
so when it comes to that, I think obviously we need really good boundaries, right? So say even if you spent half an hour every day during the week, so like at this time every day I'm going to sit down and, I'm going to systematically go through, like I'll log where I got to in the last session, and I'm going to pick it up. It'll take time. Doesn't have to take a long time, but it can take time. But I feel like it's a very valid thing to do if you feel the content's still relevant. Okay. And this might be a good point. I know some people feel like as they expand, the old concepts that they had, say 5 years ago, aren't relevant anymore. But there's still going to be ways that you can multi-purpose that content, right? Whether it's just even recognizing how far you've come and creating new content based off the before and the after and what you've gone through since you were here and now you're here. Yeah. Yes. Does that make sense?
Yes. It certainly does. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Little bites. Setting myself up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Half an hour a day. Yeah.
The other great thing, if you're looking at creating a book based upon a program that you've already run, is that you're going to have case studies ready to be able to infuse throughout the book, right? So say I was going to create a book based on my business alchemy program, which I am. There's plenty of examples, case studies, spotlight opportunities that I can draw from, and even getting in contact with those clients that went through this process and ask them, how did going through this mastermind with me a year ago or 2 years ago, how was that for you? What did that evoke within you? How did that shift and change your business by going through this process, this 5-step process? Obviously, with a bit of reflective time, people can see, oh yeah, okay, that actually was a real turning point, or that big breakthrough that I had with you then led to this, led to that. Like, it can really help people put the puzzle pieces back together. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we've got going through all of our online content, right? All of our social media content, all of our newsletters, blogs, Facebook Lives, going through all of the old courses, freebies, challenges, masterminds, frameworks that we've created, going through your notes on your phone, right? Even that alone, I've got like hundreds and hundreds of notes, going through your old journals if you're a handwriter, just to be present to the topics that have been of interest to you over the years, right? When it comes to actually turning that into a book, obviously we need to start finding the golden threads, the many golden threads that there's going to be. And if you haven't yet watched the workshop I did last week on uncovering your golden thread, that connects your story with the transformational work that you facilitate, I highly encourage you to do that. It's in the guides somewhere. I can share it with you. If you want me to tag you in it, let me know and I'll tag you in it. But you want to start to uncover all of the threads that you want to develop more, that you want to develop into a book. All right. there's going to be like, you're not going to have the problem of, I don't have enough words, or I don't have enough ideas, or I don't have enough concepts. The problem that you're going to encounter, or the challenge that you're going to encounter, is more going to be, how do I distill? What am I going to choose, right? What topics am I going to deepen into in my book? Because I'm going to be probably overloaded and overwhelmed with a lot of different concepts. Okay. So I'm going to have a look at Maya. I'll tag you in it. You know all of that though, just saying, but I will tag you in it for sure. Yes, Michelle, hi. I've always thought I would convert my Be Your Amazing program into a book one day. Honestly, if you have the content there, why would you not? Essentially, why would you not convert it? It's such a no-brainer. Now, what I wanted to shift gears and start talking about is, I think we have a number of my authors here. So I'd love to talk a little bit about how to develop your chapter into a book as well, because if you have undergone a multi-author book experience, you've dipped your toe into the world of publishing, right? You've decided I'm not quite ready to launch or release or write and publish my own book, but I'm going to share my chapter in a multi-author book, and I'm going to get a feel for the publishing process. So I really invite you to reconnect with that, reconnect with the energy that you were in when you were writing your book, when you were writing your chapter, right? When we were going through that publishing process. Reconnect with the energy, and then recognize that those those 3,000 words, 3,500 words that you wrote is like this much of what can essentially you can either expand on those stories and those themes, keep the same chapter skeleton, tease it out like an accordion, right? Find the threads that you wrote about, or maybe there was like one or two threads that you wrote about. And maybe you might recognize through going through all of your old content, okay, there's this thread, which I need to bring in. There's this thread, which I need to bring in. So that's one option, is to actually take your chapter and expand it out with words, right? With more content, with more ideas. Expand it out by maybe bringing in those transformational processes that you've developed, bringing in more of, merging it with some of the course content that you've created over the years. You've already got the skeletons essentially with the chapter, even if it's only 3,500 words. What I would invite you to do, if you're interested in exploring this more, is to print off your chapter and actually highlight. And, you might have different colored highlighters, and highlight depending upon the themes, right? So you'll notice that there's different themes that you talk about. Obviously, when we only have 3,500 words, there's probably only a few themes, but you'll see, okay, in this chapter, I spoke about that golden thread. I spoke about that thread. I pulled in that thread as well. So that will give you like your skeleton for you to start to flesh it out even more. That's one way. Another way, which I heard, this amazing woman, Debbie, I can't remember her last name. She came in and spoke. I heard her speak a few days ago, and she was talking about a woman that she coached, and they took her multi-author chapter and I think she expanded it out to say 10,000 words and had it at the beginning of her book, right? That was the beginning, the first thing that people read. And then she simply added on a workbook to the back end of it, right? So, processes, I love tapping, for example. So if that was me and I was talking about, say the last book that I wrote about, the younger self letters, I talked a lot about postnatal depression and moving through postnatal depression and starting up my own business in the face of the mental health challenges that I'd been through. So how easily could I take that chapter, probably expand it out a little bit more, flesh it out a little bit more, and then put in some tapping processes around, moving through like welcoming in motherhood, the moving from the maiden to mother. I could put in some embodiment processes. I could put in some journal questions, so some journaling prompts, and have a whole page or a whole couple of pages for people to actually write in, right? There's so much that I could do to actually flesh that out. Your book doesn't have to be a book that's full of 60, 70, 80,000 words, right? It doesn't have to be that at all. And in fact, sometimes some of the most powerful books out there are short little ones. The one that comes to mind is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Who's read that? Let me know if you've read that. You could read that in probably a day and a half, a couple of days. It's tiny. It's like this big, right? but there's so much gold in that. It's like that author has really mastered the art of what I call Hemingway writing. Yeah. So Hemingway is famous for saying a lot in not very many words. On an aside, actually, there's a fabulous website. I think it's called Hemingwayeditor.com. And you can plug, essentially copy and paste your content or your words into that website, and it will tell you what words are superfluous. It will tell you how to shorten or sharpen, or you can use, so, it will pick up if you've kind of slightly changed in the technicalities of the way that you're writing. It's a really, really good app or website. I highly recommend it. So just wanted to kind of highlight that to you. Your book doesn't have to be a massive 300-400 page tome. It can actually be, the first one that you write at least can actually be small, right? It could be your chapter in your multi-author book, or your program framework that you've created last year or this year that you've fleshed out and written out. And it can include your stories. It can include your case studies. It can include journaling prompts. It can include processes. Mary, it can include recipes. It can include yoga poses, like guided meditations. It can have links. You can have a link to a website that people can go to, that, where they have access to audios that they can listen to. Like, there's so much that you can do with this. You can actually be so creative.
I've actually already got an Ayurveda course that I run, and I've got it divided into 4 parts, and I've got probably 10,000 words written on each of those parts, plus a back of it.
Yeah, amazing.
I've got an Ayurveda book that could go.
You could go like that. Could actually go like that. Yeah. Find a beautiful cover designer, find an editor, get it formatted, and it would be available like that. The benefit to having a book, and I mean, obviously a multi-author book is such a great first step. It's a way to dip your toe into the publishing world. It's a way to do it in with a cohort of people, in community, in collaboration. But really, when we're tapping into when we're really highlighting our own expertise, publishing our own content, our own books, we're actually getting our work out there in its entirety. It's such a powerful addition to business.
The only thing I'm a little bit that comes to mind is, like, I've written that over the years.
Yeah.
And I've obviously written it by drawing on other people's work.
Yeah.
Which, because of the way I've written it, I haven't referenced it.
Sure.
That's the only thing that makes me a little bit and there's no copy and paste in big chunks out of anybody's work, but it is really hard to find something original.
It is. And unless you've actually, I think the rule is, if it's like 80, if it's someone let me know if I'm getting this right. I think it's like 60 or 70% and under and over someone's direct words, it's a quote.
Oh, no, it's nothing like that. Nothing like that. It might be people's ideas of how to put it together and the structure of it, but the content is largely mine.
Yeah.
Some really, oh God, that's great. I couldn't say it any better myself. But
so what I would do is, in your introduction, is have, or in your, and probably would do it in an introduction, talk about who you've been influenced by, and actually name the people, so that you are directly saying, this book has, my body of knowledge has been influenced by my mentors. These are their names. You might leave links to their websites, so that if people want to kind of go on that education trail that you've been on, they can do that as well. That would be what I would do. And of course, you could have a reference list at the back, go back over all of the people that you've read, that you've learned from, and reference their books. The great thing about Kindle, if you have it formatted on Kindle as well as paperback, but the great thing about Kindle is that those links become hyperlinks, so people can just jump directly to those pages. Yeah.
Okay.
Annabelle, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to jump on in and share your thoughts. If you have any questions, you're most welcome. If you can't talk, that's totally fine too. And I'm going to just have a squiz over here. I'll tag you in that video. I need to watch it again. I'm back from holidays. Gosh, you got back just in time for lockdown. Yay. Another one. I've read it. You've read the big leap. Okay, that's awesome. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk with you about. Does anyone who's here with me live or in the comments on Facebook have any questions? I hope this has inspired you. That was my number one intention, was to really inspire. Oh, have you guys frozen? No, you did. Okay, cool. To inspire you to realize that you've got so much around you, right? So many words that you've already written, so much creativity that you've already channeled. Let's not let all of that good stuff go to waste. All of that. I mean, obviously they won't go to waste because it's out there, and those courses that we've taken people through that have changed people's lives, that's amazing. And let's recognize that every single thing that you've done has the potential to be turned into a book. When you have a solo book, not only are there's so much that you can do with it, right? It's another way for people to find out about you and your work. You can create a book funnel, which means that people might whether you go all fancy and have Facebook ads that direct people to your book. And then in the book, you're educating people, you're creating problem awareness about the problem that you solve, you're providing solutions, and then you're funneling them on to the next phase, right? Whether that's your Facebook group or your website, your calendar link for people to actually get to know you even more. It does massive things for the perception that people have of you as well, around your authority, your expertise, how people view you. Like, there's really something to be said about having books under your belt and how much that increases people's, it's all smoke and mirrors at the end of the day, right? The online space, but it really does increase your expertise level. Obviously, the other thing as well is that, like, when you have titles and publish titles underneath you as well, whether or not you've gone through that process of taking that book to bestseller, and there's all these different strategies that can be done around reaching bestseller status. It's a foot into massive PR potential. It's a foot into being featured in big publications, to being featured through podcasts, summits, all these kinds of things. It really is a massive differentiator. You will differentiate yourself in your niche in a major way. Annabelle, nice to see you. You've pulled over.
Nice to see. I did, because I'm going for a swim. I'm like, I need to wash off a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, so actually there's one question I have while I'm talking. Is that okay if I ask that now?
Go for it.
So basically, what's happening and is we finally putting our house on the market.
I saw.
And
congratulations.
And like it's so we have, that's why I forgot all about this morning. I was going to do the circle this morning, and then I forgot all about it, because I'm making decision for which agent and all that, which is so important.
Yeah, it is. That's okay. I don't think that the closing circle was meant to happen anyway. Like, this was brought up on our call yesterday. Louise said, maybe we're not meant to have a closing circle. This is for the Sacred Rebel group, anyone watching. Maybe it's meant to continue evolving, potentially.
Absolutely. It was it was not a closing circle, actually.
Completion.
This morning I went to create an event, and then I realized it was this morning. I'm like, oh shit, I missed
it's all good.
it. Anyway, and it was like it was more about a sharing circle, like just to connect, really.
Yeah, beautiful.
But so I'm going through the separation and packing my house and letting go of that. And I thought I had the idea this morning to document that.
Yeah, awesome.
Because to document, to go from, the roller coaster of emotions, and then to document, so like to video myself as well, to film about, being able to do it from a place of love, which is, what I'm all about, being able to go back to the love and the forgiveness. Anyway, and then maybe there's a book at some point.
100%.
That's only when I haven't my next home.
Yeah. There's definitely a book in that. In whether it's a book, whether it's a course, whether it's a workshop, whether it's a podcast, like, there's literally creative inspiration all around us. I'm at the moment getting ready to bring my next cohort of, well, I've got 2 projects coming up, right? So the first one is the next multi-author book, Unapologetic, shedding in authenticity to become uniquely you. But the second one is the Oracle Unleashed program, which is all about taking people on a 6-month journey to write, publish, and launch their program. They're not their program, their solo book. And so I've been doing a lot of like meditating and channeling about actually what do I want to do with people in this program? How can I support them to tap into their creativity? And one of the things that I've been practicing myself for a long time that I'm going to be bringing into this program is the act of listening to everything and observing everything that's happening in your world, right? Because there's inspiration everywhere. And what you're going through right now is going to provide massive inspiration for you, whether that's from a creative perspective, from even just a deepening in your capacity to hold space for other people.
Yeah. I can't hear you very well somehow.
Okay. Yeah.
Tash.
So anyway, that's the idea. I thought so. I'm sorry it didn't happen, and
that's okay.
Yes,
that's fine.
And
we'll do it again.
I think that's where I'm. What's next, and I will document it. I thought because that's the best way to share the high and the low, and
document it through your social media presence. Yeah.
So
awesome.
So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be documenting it if I were you as well. I think it's a great idea. Well done. And yeah, it's a big time. I get the intensity of
27 years.
Yeah,
it's my whole life in Australia. The whole of
new chapter.
Yeah,
new chapter.
Totally.
Okay. Mary, did you have something you wanted to say just then?
Look, it's probably best to leave to our conversation, Tash, which we will have next week. But just it's more about the practicalities. I think it's definitely happening for me. I've probably got I've got one that could probably go, but I've got the other one which is pulling together.
Yeah.
And, there's overlaps, and do you overlap? So it'll be more about technical question of what's next.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we can talk about that on our call. Okay. So that's a natural segue then for me to share a little bit about the program. I want to share more about the 2 projects that we have on the go, because not everyone's ready to write a book. And some of you might just want to dip your toe in. Maybe you've watched the last 2 multi-author book projects that I've published in the past 6 months, Wild Woman Rising and Sacred Rebel. They are intensive, immersive projects. When you enter into one of these projects, and we've got 3 of my authors here who can maybe share a little bit about it, but when you enter into this project, it's not just about you simply writing your chapter, although that's a big part of it. It's a real incubation. That's how I look at it, like a creative and entrepreneurial incubation. Yeah. So this next multi-author book project, Unapologetic, shedding in authenticity to become uniquely you. I'm looking for people who work in the female empowerment space. If you're a coach or a therapist or a healer or a psychic, a consultant, if you work in the space where you support women to step into greater levels of, to help them essentially become unapologetically themselves, and you have a story that you would love to share, then please reach out to me and express your interest, because that's what I am calling in at the moment from that project. It's a great way to dip your toe into the world of publishing. And I think all of us who are on the call here, would you say that you've all that throughout going throughout this process, you have increased confidence in your message, confidence in you personally, professionally? Would you say that, ladies?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. What about you, Mel?
Definitely. Like when you were talking, I'm like, I just kept hearing confidence.
Yeah.
So, and it's fantastic to have that best-selling author status as well. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely think that it is, absolutely, as well. But the second project, which I'm super excited about, it's a new direction for me, is called Oracle Unleashed. And it's a 6-month container to support you to write, publish, and launch your groundbreaking and disruptive book. So the program, I've shared a little bit about it in this Facebook group, but I'll share it again. It's split into two components. We've got the yin and the yang. So the first 3 months is the immersive creative experience, right? This is you tapping into your message and the truth, the core truth of what you want to say. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of like the technicals around like how to actually write and structure a book, but I'm also creating space in this program as well, because for me, as someone who does identify as a disruptor and has disruptive tendencies, I know I need to find my own methods and my own way. And especially when it comes to creativity, it's very unique for everyone. So the tricky thing that I'm working on at the moment is, how do I create a structure, but also create spaciousness within that structure as well, so that we can really like activate creativity rather than block creativity. It's quite an interesting one that I'm working on at the moment. So that's the first component. The second component is the yang. This is actually how do we take your book and source your team, your editing, formatting, cover design team. You'll be learning the self-publishing process. And then the final month is all about the launch strategy. So launching is something that I specialize in. I love launching. I've launched 5 times in the past year, which has been massive. And I've launched a baby as well. You say I've had 6 launches. And all of them have all been very successful launches. So I've learned a lot about the power of launching, the power of having a really solid marketing strategy. And also, like, how do we set up the back end of your business so that when it comes time for you to launch your book, everything is ready, right? You have the course or courses, you have the website, you have everything fully prepared so that it's like, this is you launching your next level to the world. So I'm super excited about Oracle Unleashed. It's a small group program, no more than 10 people. We have guest experts coming in talking about getting sponsorship for your books, talking about like disruptive writing, the art of storytelling, heaps of different people coming in to do all sorts of different things. But most importantly, what I see with this program, this is why I've called it Oracle Unleashed, is because this is about you unleashing and activating within you your inner oracle, the part of you that knows exactly what to say, that doesn't doubt, doesn't question, doesn't hold herself back, doesn't tone herself down, is really unleashing upon the world her message, right? And her vision for the future, her transformation, her medicine. That's what this program is all about. So reach out to me if you have any questions. We kick off in August, so we have a while. I've got 2 really exciting bonus calls happening in July if you jump in before then. So reach out to hear more about them. They're going to be small group workshop style trainings. Yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to say closing wise? Any reflections or?
No, here we go.
Here we go. I know, it's like you thought the Wild Woman Rising process was big.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It's an initiation.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
doing all sorts of weird things at the moment. So which are just yeah, opening up so much. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Please pop me in. Oh, my question. Okay, I've got one question here. Actually, I'll go back. I don't feel ready to write a book at the moment. I need to focus on my new programs. Next year feels right for me. Tasha, will you be running it again? Yeah, I dare say I will. I won't 100% commit to that because I'm going to see how this one goes, Maya, but I dare say I probably will. I'm feeling very excited about it. So yeah, I dare say I'll run it again, but like I said, I'm not going to commit to that. My question, what stage or level of business is the right time to use a book effectively? I realize it's not my area of expertise to do the PR work, so I would have to outsource that. Yeah. So do you mean, Michelle, what area or what stage or level of business is the right time to use a book effectively? Okay. Well, really, the sky's the limit with that. Obviously, we want to have a body of knowledge to draw from. I think that's an important piece. So this isn't for startups. Yeah, this is definitely not if you're in the first year or year and a half of being in business, probably not for you. Having said that, we've all got multiple books in you. Everyone has a book in them, right? This program, Oracle Unleashed, is specifically for non-fiction books. So non-fiction books that are going to grow your business. So we're not doing fiction writing. We're not writing a memoir. What we are doing is learning how to infuse story throughout a non-fiction book. But this is particularly what we're doing is we're birthing a book that's going to be obviously something that's going to get out there and change lives, but that's also going to be a marketing tool that you can use to grow your business. So you really want to make sure that you have a body of knowledge, right? A body of work underneath you. If you have programs that you've created, if you've been working with clients for a few years, if you feel like, if I was to say to you, could you jump up on stage and, deliver a 2-hour-long workshop on this particular topic without maybe necessarily having a lot of time to prepare, and you go, yes, I know this topic so well, I could literally get up there for 2 hours and talk about it, then that's an indicator that you're probably ready. Mary, do you feel that you would? Bye, Mel. Nice to see you. I know you would. You've been doing this for how long? 20 years? 18 years?
About 15.
Yeah. 15. Yeah, long time.
Well, in practice with 15, but I suppose what I'm writing about is that conscious time shift, life shift, which is 20 years. 20 years, yeah, absolutely. So, Michelle, let me know if that answered your question. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. We're at an hour. I didn't want to go any longer than an hour. Thank you for being with me and for joining me live, Mary and Mel and Annabelle. Mary, Mel and Annabelle. And please, if you're interested in either Unapologetic or Oracle Unleashed, to reach out and let me know, because we've got spaces filling up for that pretty quickly. All righty. Thank you. Have a great day, Mary. Bye, everyone. Take care.